AlasNoAxis is my one chance to write music in the way of, like, you know, my favorite singer-songwriters that I listen to through the years. It's sort of my chance to get to do that as it's almost like a different life than me playing drums in all the different bands. I write on guitar and I sing the melodies to myself in my house, write them out, and then I pass them out to the band. So it's an important project for me because I play so much different music with different bands. And there was one thing that was sort of missing, and that was the idea of what a song was in that traditional sense, like a singer with a song, guitar and voice. And I decided to sort of fill in that blank for myself. Like, if I was going to make an album like that, how would it sound? But I'm not a singer. I'm not a lyricist, so it's sort of how I get to touch that world without actually going there, and using my friends who are capable of any type of music and sound. They look at what I write and try to find the best way to play it. So it's an important band. I wouldn't want to do it all the time because it's very composed music, which I like, but it's nice to take a break, do other things, and come back and enter this world again. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do with the band. Any improv on that CD ended up being exactly in the idea that we were going for with the long melody sounds. I didn't even have to ask for it. Chris and Hilmar overdubbing themselves, these kind of calling, singing kind of long tones and melodies, which are sort of built into the song, but I didn't ask them to do that on the solo sections. They kind of could have played whatever they wanted to, or they could have stopped, but instead they just added more to the vibe. And when I listened back finally after mixing, it was like, wow, that's the power I was hoping to have. The energy of the first album, besides the obvious rocking songs or the free jazz moments, the more angular type of things, traditional almost in a way, they take a different form on the new album. I was going for that power, but not breaking it, like just getting up to the ceiling and just kind of writing here, right before it breaks, looking for that kind of energy, something that was more broad and loud, but powerful, that had that weight of something violent and heavy, but actually quite beautiful at the same time. Just imagine, you imagine these things and you try to find a sound, you try to write with that sound in mind, and then hopefully your band can help you realize that effect. What's so weird is that without asking for it, they figured out this sound, which is perfect. I'm very lucky. I get fan mail, which is really interesting. And also I've been teaching more the past 7-8 years, workshops in different parts of the world. And I'm finding this out, that there are people who are like, maybe bebop didn't appeal to them, or free jazz didn't appeal to them, swing, maybe even rock didn't appeal to them. But somehow they find elements they can connect with in this band because we know and love a lot of different music. And we're not trying to play every single element of music in this group, but focusing on the things that we like about energy and sound and distortion. And there's no swing in this music, it's more rock. In a way, it's using more of the straight eighth note feel and very tonal, singable melodies. If I couldn't sing it, I wouldn't write it. So I think there's a lot of other musicians and improvisers out there who are looking to connect with making sense with the classical idea of improvising, studying jazz, free jazz, these different things, but also having it make sense with the contemporary music that they're born into. I mean, I was born into the Police and Led Zeppelin and Rush, but then I was taught in college to play Miles Davis and John Coltrane. Well, how do you make these things come together? And for me, my main influence was Bill Frisell, back in the 80s, 86, with albums like Before We Were Born on None Such, where Bill, I think, was the first person above me to combine the energy of Hendrix and rock and that raw sound with the idea of improvisation and beautiful melodies, and that music can be all kinds of different things. You can have a beautiful chord and have it be really loud and powerful versus always having it be too sweet and smooth jazz-like. Frizzell is, to me, the pioneer of this. So I'm Dave Douglas, myself, many other musicians totally come out of him for a lot of our inspiration, because that's the music that was happening when I was in college, and that's who I was looking to. Joey Barron on drums and a lot of other people. So those albums still sound great. I mean, life goes on and people evolve. Bill's doing a different type of music now, different influences, but those early albums for me, Paul Motion's Quintet with Jim Pepper and Joe Lovano, Ed Schuller, those were really important albums when I was looking for sounds that I liked, sounds that I wanted to follow. So it's no different now that, I mean, I don't know it because I'm doing it, but it's nice to know that people 10 years younger than me are listening to what we're doing, 20 years younger than me, and are like, yeah, okay, we start here. Why not? That's the way music and culture works, so it's sweet to know. Because I've spent so much time in New York, all the bands we started when I was first living in New York in 91, 92, all those bands still play. Maybe a few stop for even 10 years, but then we start again. So I'm very, very busy with my friends at home, but you don't forget your old family, you know, and you want to play with them. And Carlos, we've been together for 17 years, but we've only done a couple tours in Europe. We only played in Portugal on and off for 17 years. It's strange. So it's more time. Like, I would love to, there's a lot of people I have to say no to that I could be playing with in Europe all the time, but the commitments that I made to my musical families 10 years ago are still happening. That's the main thing, you know, you always have to play with your family first, although my family's getting so broad. Meeting someone like Médéric, I mean, someone who's such a great improviser, because of Nico, a chief inspector, making something happen like that. I mean, those are opportunities that are really amazing and beautiful in the moment, and you know it's not, everyone's got a different life. But it's nice to have these like waves like come together and make something cool, and then we don't see each other for a year and 2 years, it doesn't matter. But the experience is important. I think it's very, very necessary to realize that there's no such thing as like American jazz or European jazz, or, I mean, I don't see it this way. Everybody's the same. I mean, the whole world is connected, and all those old ways of thinking, I mean, that way of even analyzing it is from the 50s, you know? It doesn't exist anymore. People are making tribal music in all different places. Médéric makes music with his friends, and it's not necessarily French jazz or has anything to do with France. It's Médéric's clan. And hopefully that these different pockets of people will meet and cross-collaborate. So you kind of take the countries away, and everyone's the same. It's all the same thing now. I can go on the internet and listen to anybody, anywhere, be influenced by any kind of music. So it's more physically, do you have enough time to go and play with somebody? And it's a beautiful thing that's still possible, and it won't stop.